Welcome to Talk Purpose and Truth, shifting you into higher consciousness. A show that elevates, uplifts, and encourages listeners to grow, heal, awaken, and evolve. Eden and Kim include bold topics, interviews with inspiring guests, experts, and celebrities, intuitive readings, channeled messages, mental health awareness, and hot topics to expand your awareness. Tune in for unprecedented truth, authenticity, on-purpose discussions, and magical moments.
Yeah, and we requested that the special guest come on, and he said yes. We're very honored and blessed to have him, and we wanted to get it out as soon as possible. So I'm happy we're able to get this right out to everyone because it's very important. So we're going to get right to it. We have a special guest, Joe Whitcomb, that came from Ukraine. We'll tell you more details on that in a bit. He is actually a trauma-informed psychotherapist and a mixed reality researcher and developer, and more, much more. Yeah. I want to talk really quick. I want to talk really quick about how I came about asking him to be on the show, and then we'll say hi. He is a friend on Facebook. We think maybe we've met at a few events in the past because he used to be here in SoCal. And we probably, I think, have like 150 mutual friends. It's crazy. Like, I'll be on other friends' posts like, wait, you know him too? And you know him too? And yeah, it just ends up that way, you know.
He gets it around.
Yeah. But, being under the umbrella of an author, speaker, and all of that, I think we've probably been to some of the same things. And I was fascinated by his really authentic, vulnerable posts during the stuff that's been happening in the Ukraine. And he went through a lot, and I don't want to spoil it and share, but basically he would post regularly on Facebook videos of what he was experiencing as things were going on in the Ukraine, and hardships and chaos. And I felt like I could feel what he was going through with his family. And I just felt that was so important and brave to put that out there to the world, because it made so many of us concerned and knowing and wanting to make a difference, like hopefully we are today with sharing it with all of you. And so with that, he'll tell us more. Welcome to Talk Purpose and Truth, Joe.
Thank you so much, Kim and Eden. It's great to be on your show. Appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, and we have to also say where you're coming from. Where are we talking to you from? Where are you?
Right now I'm in Torun, Poland. It's north central part of Poland, about an hour and a half south of the Baltic Sea, about 5 hours from Warsaw and Krakow, and about 3 hours from Berlin, the German border. Okay. So I've been here about a week and a half, about a week now. About a week this week. Yep.
We've interviewed so many people all over the world, but you are probably the furthest. And this is amazing that we're able to do this through Zoom.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you guys for having me on, because what we're about to talk about is super important, and I think it's history in the making, and a lot of life and death stuff that's happening in Ukraine that it's going to transform, I think, a lot of people's lives, and even opinion about the Eastern Europe, what's happening and the influence it has on all of us. So.
Yeah. Okay. Well, first I want to ask you, I'm going to go back a little bit, ask you about your upbringing and how you got started and what you're doing today. And how did that lead you to living in Ukraine?
Well, sometimes life is a circus, and love is a circus. Sometimes it's a ghost town. Other times it's just a dead end. But I grew up in Minnesota, in a small itty bitty town, Princeton, north of Minneapolis, about 45 minutes. My parents had an Italian restaurant, a greenhouse, a deer farm, and they're all professional archers. So we grew up in shooting professionally, and so and then I ran as fast as I could out of Minnesota when I was 17. I joined the Army. Between my junior and senior year. and did that for 2 years to get a GI Bill to do my college education. Went back to Minneapolis for about 6 months, failed miserably in college. And I think my highest grade was like a C in volleyball. That was the best I got. So, but I was taking, I didn't know what I wanted to do. So, and then after that, I took off. I went to New England, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, and then ended up somewhere in Quebec, Canada for about a year, touring around there, trying to learn French and explore that. And then I think it was like 20, I joined the Air Force, and I spent almost 8 years doing that. I was 4 years in the Philippines and 4 years at Clark Air Base. I did medical evacuation, patient transport there, type of rescue work. I've always been rescuing people, whether it's puppies, children.
You see the pattern.
I've always been a rescuer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that little red thread that runs through our life. You kind of trace it all the way back to when you're a kid. Just those traits, I think, that come out. Mm-hmm. So I did the military thing. I was the Philippines really shaped a lot of my experience. Just being in a third world country, and I got out. I had trauma myself, some PTSD, and from being there. The first day I was ever in the Philippines, young and dumb, right? Just young and dumb. I get off the plane. I got my backpack, and they send me off base to this hotel, the Mabuhay Inn, and I tell the jeepney driver to take me there, and we're driving around for like 20 minutes. I have no orientation. I've never been to a third world country. And so, like, within 20 minutes, I'm like, where are we going? And the next thing I know, he's like driving me into this like jeepney and trike circle, and I get mugged. My first day in the Philippines.
Oh my God.
So it was kind of scary because they're all like, they have their bandanas on and the military, and there everyone's got an M16 carrying around. So I was 19. I probably just turned 20. Young and dumb, and that kind of that shook me up a little bit, but that kind of formed my whole experience in the Philippines.
Set the tone.
This adventure. I'm just a small town boy, going to the third world for the first time, and so I left there, went to Tucson, and then got out of the military. Didn't know what I wanted to do for about 3 years. Worked for Tony Robbins for 2 years, and work for Sylvan Learning Systems, working with kids, rescuing them from the school system, and trying to help them. But I discovered clinicals. I went to Pepperdine and did my master's in clinical psych there, and then worked on my doctorate at the Chicago School of Professional Psychology, which I'm doing this research development now in trauma-informed mixed reality VR development to work with trauma, specifically with military veterans, first responders, anybody really. But so that's kind of what got me to the Ukraine, actually, about a year ago.
Wow.
I was in LA, Santa Monica for 20 years, and then San Diego for about 6.
And your wife or girlfriend is Ukrainian, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how did that come about?
We swiped right, both of us, successfully on Tinder. And we had a successful swipe. I'd already been there since July, and then we met last November. So that was... we met. I came back to the States for a month, and then came back in January, and then the war broke out in February 24th.
Wow.
So
it's been a whirlwind.
Yeah, we passed through a lot. Yes, it has.
So talk about how that led into, what happened with you all getting out of there. Like, she got out of there as well, and her son, right? And what was that like? Can you tell us kind of a summary of your experiences of what happened in the last, it's only been a few weeks, right?
Well, we got here, we crossed the border of Poland, I think it was March 8th. So we were there for about 2-3 weeks when the war was breaking out. We had before the whole thing, there was always the saber rattling on the border, in Donetsk and Donbass and all these other areas but no one in Ukraine, even the Ukrainians, they just thought it was political, posturing. And we had no idea. Even the night before the first sirens went off and the first bombs started to explode around us, me and my buddy were out there for our VR. We create drone audio aerial stuff. So we were out there videotaping the Motherland statue and got a great view of that, recorded it. Actually lost the drone because for some reason we lost the GPS and connection. The drone went way out. We never thought we'd find it again. It came back.
Oh, wow.
It's a smart drone. And we were able to find it about an hour later through the GPS. But we thought I've lost some in the Pacific Ocean before, so I never thought I'd get that one back. There's another one gone. So, but we got that. Videotaped some really beautiful stuff right before the first sirens on February 24th at 5, between 4 and 5 in the morning, started sounding off. And we had no idea what was going on. We just didn't. We woke up and got to the basement. Everybody was moving into the basement. And we had no idea what was going to happen next. It was just we were just shocked. We were just shocked. And then the sirens never stopped. They just kept every 5 hours. We were not sleeping. We're not, oh, look who's here.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh. Thank you for being here.
Good to see you guys.
Thanks. Good to see you too.
We're just over here. We're rehearsing for a tour. We're going to be out on the road later this month for 6 months and doing 133 shows. And we're just right in the middle of it. I just want to drop by really quickly and just say, hey.
Hi, Weird Al.
Yeah. Hi.
Weird Al, we're doing an episode. It just came out of Ukraine. Can you say hello to all the Ukrainians that are fighting the good fight there?
Having a little bit of technical. Go for it. Sorry. You good? Yeah. I'm sorry. Once again.
Can you say hi to the Ukrainians listening? We're doing an episode about Joe just got out of the Ukraine, and they're helping people there.
Sure. Okay. So, I don't know where I'm. Right here. Okay.
Now they'll recognize you. Yeah.
Okay. Hey, this is Weird Al Yankovic. I just want to say hello to all my Ukrainian friends. Hang in there, guys. All the best.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Have a good tour.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you, Scott.
Who would have known?
Scott.
Thanks, Scott.
Our producer, Scott Walton.
That made our day.
Yeah. So happy. And Scott used to tour with Weird Al, so Weird Al is rehearsing in studio right now.
Yeah. That
was awesome.
Right on. That is awesome. I do a lot of karaoke, but I don't ever think I ever did a Weird Al song. I'll have to try that one next.
Wow. Okay. Well, back on track now. To your serious story.
Yeah.
A little bit of comic relief.
Yeah. So, Joe, you guys literally went from life being beautiful and great and fine in this beautiful place in Europe to chaos very quickly. So you can continue.
Yeah. So just kind of tell you the narrative from the beginning to what ended up happening a little bit. So the first couple of days were really super intense. We had gunfire right outside our complex. When I moved to Ukraine, Kyiv, I kind of, having a military background, I knew that there was always that possibility of Russia, possibility. So I was trying to be very selective. I picked a really nice complex right next to the Swiss embassy, neutral.
Mm-hmm.
So it was really beautiful. It was away from all the other stuff that was going on. So it seemed to be like a pretty safe space. So I was there. We had our place. Now Lena has her own apartment with her son on the other side of the river by the airport, where all the bombings initially, when they first took out the airport and all that stuff that you saw on TV. She was staying with me. She had gone back to get her son and brought him back to our apartment where we stayed at. But that first weekend, Friday, Saturday night, we had pretty significant gunfights. I mean, they weren't like long, but they were like 30 seconds to maybe a minute and a half. Some of the gun bursts that were just right outside our door. And then right outside my window were gun bursts from like 50 millimeter weaponry, like red tracer dart bullets shooting into the air. So we were, as a guy, I was like, oh my gosh, there's planes up there as they were shooting at, or drones. And my fear was that they were going to shoot back and we'd be in proximity to some explosion. So we were able to get into the underground. We spent 3 days in the underground bunker. And then when we were down there, now the day before all that happened, I was very fortunate to capture an interview with the militia men that were protecting the complex. So I got a chance to kind of check in and say, hey, how's your mood? How's your spirit? How are things going? And they were, so they don't really speak a lot of English there. So it's mostly Russian or Ukrainian.
Yeah.
But I got a chance to talk to them a little bit. But they were protecting the complex. And then, so once we got to the basement, I was afraid of this too. I was afraid of being stuck and stranded and kind of barricaded into a place I couldn't escape, right? So I was more wanting to stay in the apartment, but you don't know if it's coming from air or ground. So
can I ask a quick question? Quick question.
Yeah, sure.
I just want to clarify. So you had your girlfriend and her son now together. All three of you were together in the basement.
Mm-hmm, that's correct.
Okay.
Mm-hmm,
And then did you have, were you prepared with food and all the necessities down there for 3 days?
We did. We had our car packed with food, water, necessities, everything but the toilet, which would have been nice, but that wasn't happening.
I can imagine.
But we had everything else. You gotta go somewhere.
Yeah.
But we had to kind of get really resourceful, but we had food, water, we planned. She got everything stocked in there. Now, was really hard is I have sleep apnea and I have to sleep with a machine. So I'm like completely unplugged and I can't sleep without it. When I sleep, if people have sleep apnea, I'd start gagging. And so it was really difficult. So I wasn't getting a lot of sleep or rest for about 3 days. So that fatigue began to set in.
Sure.
And so we were trying to regulate our nervous systems as best as we could and eat and manage all that. Then when we came up on Saturday for a little bit, the Russian military had broken into our the next door complex. We saw them with guns and kind of breaking into the door, and they were in there about an hour, and they came out with like 3 other men and had them bound up, and they ran across the parking structure, and then there was like this rifle fire or gunfight between these two complexes for about, again, it wasn't long, it was about a minute between them, but it was pretty rapid fire, pretty intense.
Did you see it or just hear it?
No, I was watching the whole thing.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was happening. And one of the guys the night before that was protecting us, one of the militia guys, was shot and killed, and was
in front of you?
The street. I didn't see him get killed, but yeah, he was in the street there. So, and he was one of the militia guys that he didn't speak English, so I didn't interview him personally. But yeah, he was there. It was really tragic to see. Because we were down there, we could hear the echo, just the rapid fire inside the bunker, and it got scary. I mean, there was times where it felt like life or death. I thought maybe they might come down, or take us out. And being an American, right? So I'm a foreigner, right? Someone's like, everyone back in the States, like, are you carrying a gun? You should be weaponized. I'm like, you do not want to be carrying a weapon as an American, number one, because they don't know if you're Russian or, Russian saboteur or Ukrainian. They just don't know. So I had to really play it cool all the way through, and not draw too much attention to myself. It was kind of bad. I was out there flying drones and taking videos. And
but you don't want to draw attention. You don't want any attention, but you. Okay.
Or it was an bright orange drone,
my God. So you have all that footage.
We didn't get a lot of footage taken. We were too afraid that if we got spotted, that they might take that very seriously.
Yeah.
And it was, because I had at least three times I was stopped by civilian Ukrainians. Not in a nice way either. It was very aggressive, and I don't speak Russian or Ukrainian, so I didn't really know what they were saying. I just know the word policia, and his police, and I go, so I had to pull out my passport, my keys, and say I live here, and it just, so all these things started building up, so I couldn't even leave the complex to get food or water or anything. And then that's when the next day, like that Monday, I think it was, Elena had to go get her stuff from the apartment, and that was during the 5 hours that Putin gave everybody take off to her apartment and get food, water, clothes, because she didn't have really anything for her and her son. So she was supposed to be coming back. Now she ended up having this. She was going to stop by the grocery or to the store to get groceries, and it was like a 3-4 hour line. And already we weren't able to use our credit card, debit cards, money, everything, and food was just flying off the shelf. The only thing that was left was avocados by the dozens.
Wow.
She was waiting to get back, and then the wars kicked up again, and then she had to go back to her house and spend the night. And I got a call from her the next morning, and she goes, "I can't make it down there. There's just too much happening." And for the first time ever in my life, I think I had never felt terror before. And I wasn't so much terrified about dying, right? I was more terrified about dying alone. And that was a terror. And just being in this country where I know nobody, and I couldn't even get a taxi if I wanted an Uber or a Bolt. I couldn't get anything. So she ended up having to take off and go to Chechnya, which is where her parents live. So she went there for took about 2 hours. I stayed in Kyiv for another week. But I have my organization, my company, we're WEAR studio. We do the VR mixed reality development for my Bonfire project, and man, these guys are brilliant. They strategize and masterminded my whole underground exit. They called up they spoke where I couldn't speak, right? I don't speak Russian, so they spoke and they moved me through it. They got a driver to pick me up, and at 6 p.m. on, I think it was Monday night, a week later, and this guy picks me up, and there's no cars on the street. I don't know if you saw this in the videos, but we're going like 80 miles an hour down the.
It's amazing
It was intense because he almost crashed into someone that was coming in. At that point, we slowed down pretty much, but we're going around this corner, and we get to the station, to the metro station that was going to take me from Kyiv to Lviv, and it was about a 3-hour wait. I met up with another Ukrainian lady there that I got to interview. She was a friend of a friend, and got to talk to her, and she was telling me about her experience of what she had been observing and seeing. She had a little boy was killed in the apartment next to her and the mother, and so she was just devastated by all that.
Oh.
And so she had to move them. So she was kind of like my English speaking guide, you know. But they told me we did this whole interview or this whole talk on Facebook, and just about what I needed to be doing. They're like, don't talk, you can't speak, you know, because you draw attention to yourself. But a few things that was really interesting as I was walking up to the metro, everybody was, you know, obviously very somber, but they just had and there was a lot of fear and scared. But I saw this one lady, mother, and she was holding the hand of her little girl, and she was wearing like a little pink winter jacket, and the mom has this gun strapped around her. It wasn't an M16, it was probably an AK-47, but wow. To see a mother protecting her child.
Yeah.
And because the men 18 and over can't leave Ukraine, they had to stay and fight. So the mothers and children, you know, were having to get on these planes or these trains and cars and drive. So I got on that train, and it was that was scary enough because we were going. Normally, it's a 9-hour trek across from Kyiv to Lviv. Normally. Driving, and on a train it's probably about that same thing, but we went from maybe not even halfway, and it took us 12 hours. It was standing room only in the dark, and then we had to move really slow, and then we had to stop anytime there was like Russian jets flying over and there were tanks crossing the tracks, and they had that 40-mile convoy that we had to kind of circumvent around and work around. So that was really scary because the reason that was scary, number one, was I felt trapped. I felt like I couldn't escape. I couldn't jump off. I couldn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
You know, and the second thing is I didn't speak the language. So I'm sitting there observing, trying to code and decode what they're saying in the dark. And,
oh my God.
And kind of track what they're doing and then do what they're doing. And I go, do I really want to do that? I don't think I want to. I don't know if I want to do that. So I had to really kind of navigate and figure out my next step every step of the way. We got halfway there. I got to Rivne, and which is where one of my business partners lives. He's from Kyiv, but his family lives in this little small town. It's a train city. These trains are really cool. They're like old Russian trains. If you have some clips I can send you some clips, but the trains are really antiquated, old, but kind of cool. They're kind of cool. But it's all standing room only. And we got through there. I met a few people that spoke a little bit of English. So that was a wonderful little experience to kind of go through that.
Did you guys have, when you were standing room only like that for so many hours, did you ever have a break to have a snack or go to the bathroom? Like, what did people do?
I didn't see a bathroom anywhere. Oh, wait, no, there was one. It was on the other side of the car. I never had to use it, though. There was a bathroom. It didn't smell. These trains are very old, antiquated, so they have a unique scent to them, and it's we just, like, me and about 4 or 5 other guys would just go in the middle of the car and try to chit chat, and I was carrying some stuff, and they all enjoyed that. Maybe cut that part out.
Oh.
No, it's, you're a human. We're sharing the truth.
Yeah. So truth to power. So we had some so I was carrying some THC on me, and the good stuff from California, and we got high. We got high in the middle of, and they loved me for it. They were just so like, thank you. You know, because marijuana is completely illegal, and THC is completely illegal. But I had the really good stuff. You know? And so we got high about halfway through, and we were laughing and joking about stuff. But got to Rivnia, spent 3 days there, and the sirens are still going on and on and on. I didn't see a lot of military things except for one night that I was there. There was about 6 convoy semis going with these huge ballistic missiles, like, because there was this rumbling in the street and the sirens would be going off. I still have dreams about those, like the nightmares, like, well, not nightmares. I wake up to that sound. And, you know, because I work with a lot of trauma. When I work with trauma, it's like all these, the brain and the nervous system, how you get in that fight, flight, freeze type of response. Right. And your nervous system gets kind of dysregulated a little bit. So by the time I get to Lviv, my nervous system is wrecked. I'm just like wrecked.
Yeah.
And so I spent there, they got me. And then when I was in Rivnia, great city, little town, not a single person spoke English. And so I'm using my phone app. And it's really funny about when you're dating, you have phone apps, translation. Because I would text her, I would say, hey, baby, I have your back, right? So I sent it to her, and she just was like never really responsive. And I did a Google Translate reverse to see what was said in the translation. And it said, hey, infant, I got your spine. And
oh, no.
Like, that doesn't work.
No.
I wonder why my dating isn't working so well.
Oh,
Ukraine. Hey, infant, I have your spine on.
She's like, what?
Oh my gosh. Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't always translate. It doesn't always translate really well,
No. Wow.
But did you have some?
Yeah. Oh, so So where are you at? So at this point, you're still.
You guys all made it.
I'm
right?
in Rivnia between a midway point and midway. I'm in the midway point between.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't made it to Poland yet. I'm in the middle of Ukraine, middle of nowhere, and I happened to meet some Portuguese television, radio reporters in this small town, and they were so wonderful. We had dinner together. Oh, in a little secret about Ukraine, when there's war, they don't sell any alcohol, no beer, no wine, nothing. You can't buy it anywhere. It's all underground. If you got to get it, I didn't have any resources, so. But they were very slick and got us some wine and did that. But they set me up. They between my mastermind group, Nina and Ilya and I do have to say their names, Eugene and Daria, who are owners of this VR company. She is the CEO. She's a woman owner of this amazing company. And they are, freedom fighters and fight for this democracy. And they're my heroes. I mean, they got me out safe. I didn't even have to buy a ticket. They moved me through. I just showed up and they paid for the hotel. They took care of everything. I was really blessed to have such great people masterminding my strategy. It felt like really underground, like an underground type of, circuit.
Like a movie.
And it was. So they hooked me up with Roma, because you asked me, Kim, to talk about Roma, right?
Yes.
The drive.
He's the driver.
Yeah, Roma he's a search and rescue guy. So he's Ukrainian. Well, by trade, he's an amazing photographer. He's a professional photographer. That was before the war. Now during the war and after the war, he'll still be this professional photographer, but he does now search and rescue. And so they called him up, and he came pick me up. He had 2 women in the back seat with a cat, and I'm allergic to cats.
Oh, no.
Oh, of course.
But it's okay. But it was a road trip. We were playing U2 and all of our favorite hits, road trips on the way. And so he got me to Lviv, and he took them the rest of the way to Poland, to the border. But I stayed there in Lviv because I was going to meet up with Elena. She was leaving Chechnya to come to Lviv for us both to cross the border in Poland. She got way delayed a lot because you probably heard about all the cars going. It took her, what would again normally take 11 hours, took her 3 days. It took her almost 72 hours across the country. And every time she was stopped, the gas was like, you could only get 2 liters, just 5.5 gallons of gas. And so she would call me up, and a lot of times you couldn't have any phone reception or internet or anything. And so I could only get her when she hit like a sweet spot on the cell tower. And she would kind of send me her location, and then I would kind of have to future out, kind of track where she would be going and then get her a hotel.
Thank you for listening to Talk Purpose and Truth podcast. Find out more at talkpurposeandtruth.com. And follow us at Talk Purpose Truth on Instagram and Facebook.